Warning, this video contains both minor and major spoilers for Survivor's campaign in Rain World. While minor spoilers are unavoidable, all major spoilers will be marked with timestamps so we can easily skip them. If you haven't played the game and intend to, don't watch this video until you have made significant progress or completed the game as Survivor. The rules of this challenge are as follows. I am not allowed to inflict violence against creatures, not including myself, the Slack Cat. Information detailing what is and what isn't violence is on the Rain World wiki, link in the description. I cannot kill creatures by biting them. I cannot eat any non-vegan food, which includes blue fruit and neuron flies. Vanilla exploits are disabled. I reach all of the normal Survivor playthroughs milestones. The more Slack Cat's expansion is disabled because it makes the game easier by replacing blue fruit with actual plants, and while I am using mods, they shouldn't affect the game as most of them are quality of life. The modpack I'm using is linked in the description. The first roadblock of this challenge is living outskirts. The only actual edible plant in this region is a popcorn plant nearby the entrance to the drainage system. While eating it provides enough food to hibernate once, getting out of outskirts requires at least 3 karma. Leniency mechanics in the Survivor and Monk campaigns make it possible to respawn objects by repeatedly dying, even when not at 1 karma. For that reason, I repeatedly stab myself like an emo teenager while having karma flower protection with the help of the Spear Thyself mod. Remember kids, giving yourself several lobotomies will get you further in life. While it's also possible to just starve to bring my karma to 3, this way is cooler. After 17 suicides, the popcorn plant respawns and I hibernate in the shelter in the center of outskirts. On my way to industrial complex, I run into a pink lizard like an idiot and die for the first time. After getting to industrial, I eat one of the popcorn plants at the entrance and a minute later die to a lobotomized lizard. It might not look like it, but I actually have 300 hours in this game. I come across a bunch of cherry bombs, and as I'm not sure whether or not using them is considered violence, I decided to check the wiki. They aren't considered violence, but because I cannot read properly, I end up thinking they are considered violence and only figured that out when editing this video. Literally nothing interesting happens in all of Garbage Wastes, so have this time-lapse of me running through it with no resistance. I then save in the first shoreline shelter. Shoreline, just like Garbage Waste, doesn't really have anything to stop me from just running through the whole region in a single cycle. Except until I run into a Leviathan. Because I'm an impatient dumbass, I decide to just run past it and get crushed by its metallic jaws that it evolved somehow. So, I ran through the entirety of Shoreline a second time. And I ran into the same Leviathan again, but this time I actually swim past it. I decide to throw a jellyfish out of my way, and accidentally hit a jetfish with it. After screaming internally, I find a spear and use it to restart the cycle. Time to run through shoreline a third time! Hooray! Spoiler alert, this part of the game is best experienced blind. If you haven't played it yet, skip to the timestamp on screen. I meet looks to the moon and bully, I mean play with her a little. Before leaving, I do 2 backflips as a sign of friendship. Say goodbye to 5 brains, I mean moon. I finish the cycle in one of the sub-region's shelters. The bubble fruit is like Rainwood's equivalent of instant noodles. It's as hard as a brick until you submerge it in water. Wow, this joke sucks, but I'm going to leave it in regardless. I attempt to and fail horribly at taking the jetfish I brought here with me because I forgot Survivor is too light to climb with one. Then I run into a Leviathan again, but I guess it's not hungry or something because it just leaves. Time to go to everyone's favorite region, Shaded Citadel. I fill up on popcorn again, and then buy a lantern so I can actually see something. Even though the whole rain world is falling apart, capitalism still thrives. If you are scared of spiders, skip to the timestamp on screen. The next part has a lot of them. I make my way to quite possibly the worst series of rooms in the region. The only good thing about them is the small amount of cream cheese they have. After trying to grab a pole that is in the background, which is a surprisingly common occurrence in these sorts of games, I fall into a pit full of spiders and die. I fail yet another easy jump and fall into the same spider pit again. I swear I'm not as bad at this game as it looks. Upon finally getting through this awful room, I try to grab yet another background pole, get swarmed by koalas, kipids, and die horribly yet again. I think the koalas, kipids may be the scariest way you can die in this game. Time to run through these rooms again. This time I come prepared with a spear that I use as a makeshift pole to get out of the spider pit. And then all I have to do is run through even more spider-infested hallways, somehow making it on my first try. If you don't know how to beat Shaded Citadel, the best advice I can give you is just keep running and jump over the spiders and maybe live. Slackcat takes another nap, and off we go out of this hellhole. Because I'm not paying attention, I get nabbed by a white lizard. Luckily, a blue lizard decides to help me and I successfully get away. Only to run into the same camo lizard and get rescued by the same blue again. Slackcat randomly decides to grab a bradfly, but I manage to drop it before it dies. Being the greedy bastard that I am, I decide to skip 2 shelters and go straight to chimney canopy, which doesn't work out well. I take a more efficient route so Slackcat's bones aren't crushed by the rain this time. Once I have saved the chimney, I go eat even more popcorn and run through the region with literally nothing interesting happening, somehow. Onto the wall. I save in the first shelter and make my way up. I decide not to skip the yellow lizard board by climbing up this wall and with spears to make things more interesting. It results in me getting surrounded and dying. Once I get back to the lizard ball, I get lucky with their positions and manage to sneak past all of them unscathed. And of course there's a white lizard camping in the worst possible spot. I attempt to lure it away, but it just doesn't care. It even turns around after I make enough noise taunting me. That does allow me to just run past it, however. I get bullied by more zonker doodles and somehow don't die. A singular solid tile manages to save me from 2 lizards at once and I just run away. Spoiler alert again, if you haven't gotten to this part of the game yet, skip to the timestamp. Fun fact, wall pouncing is actually useful sometimes. It allows you to get up here without wasting a single spear. I avoid risking jumping past the pole plants by using a spear here. Some robot starts yapping at me, so I practice wall pouncing. The pearls are not edible. That doesn't stop me from leaking all of his precious data modules out of spite, though. I ran past Pebbles' R34 collection as well as the Great Nipple Man. Time for a quick nap, followed by meeting horrors beyond human comprehension, as you do. Anyway, I ran into more lizards. I have no idea how I survived that. I guess I got lucky again. I eat even more popcorn. I'm sure Slackat is having a stomachache from eating this much popcorn at this point. I go through probably the most stressful parkour I have ever done in a video game and then sacrifice my squid kata to save myself from a yellow lizard. This scavenger tries to murder me and fails, so he just kills himself, I guess. I engaged in even more capitalism. Everybody's second favorite region, Farm Race, hooray! Man, I sure do love how all reindeer share one brain cell and just refuse to move sometimes. Because I'm still a very greedy person, I decide to skip a shelter. This almost costs Slackat its life, but I somehow make it into a shelter in time. A reindeer decides to dip its balls in the grass, I suppose, then he just tumbles down the hill. I seriously wonder how they haven't gone extinct with how incredibly stupid they are. I watch, trademark, a scavenger's hair grow to incredible lengths in real time. I genuinely have no idea what's going on with this scav. I jumped down a cliff and landed directly on top of a centipede. That's a perfectly fair death. And then I basically just jumped into a blue lizard's mouth because I'm stupid. A centipede gets abducted by a black lizard in front of me. I blindly stumbled through filtration system on my first try, somehow. Note that gamma is greatly increased and I couldn't actually see anything while playing. And that's the end of the game, because only the depths remain and those were basically the same anyway, just I couldn't see. I guess if you want you can like or dislike the video and comment what other stuff I could do in this game. Here's my stats for those who care. Goodbye, fellow internet person.